Welcome to Parenting Successful Teens, the podcast that cuts through the overwhelm and stress of this phase and offers parents simple, practical, cognitive, science-based strategies for keeping their teens on track. Join master coach and real-life mom, Allie Irwin, to talk about real teens, real problems, and the skills it takes to raise successful adults.
Hello, everybody. Mother's Day was last Sunday, and for a lot of moms and people with moms, Mother's Day can kind of be fraught with landmines. So today I'd like to offer some thoughts on how to use whatever happened for you on Mother's Day to make your life and your relationships better on all the days. So I want you to think about your experience of Mother's Day, what was good and we can build on, and what was bad that we can shift, what you'd rather experience so that we can shift and change. And I have 8 sort of thoughts on Mother's Day that I hope will help you both build on the good stuff and get more of the good stuff by shifting on the parts that didn't work. Okay, the first thought is that Mother's Day is complicated because our relationship with mothers is complicated. Both from a cultural standpoint, you've heard me talk at length about all the conflicting messages we give mothers. And then you layer in your own relationship with your mom, like your own mom and your own kids and your husband and what your friends' kids are doing on social media. You can see how there are a lot of ways that Mother's Day can go sideways. Whatever happened for you, know that there are a lot of variables going in. It isn't just that your kids did X. It's that your kids did X and your friends' kids did Y, and you wish you'd gotten what your friends got. Or, look at the bigger picture of all the things that go into our expectations about Mother's Day. And hopefully that sort of takes the temperature down a little bit. Second, we aren't just one thing. We're both moms and adult children of mothers, and those relationships have a lot of overlap. Okay. Just kind of like number one, where there's a lot of things that go into the day, know that all the different roles we play in our relationships and the overlap there affects our expectations. In addition, just like we're not one thing, days aren't one thing. Days are rarely all good or all bad. I know in my own day, the day that inspired this podcast, I had all the experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I had the experience of feeling cherished, and I had the rough patch experience. And I had the experience, when I talk about rough patch, I mean the kind where one of us is crying and not taking the other one's phone calls, like that kind of rough patch. And I had the redeemed experience where we worked it all out and I ended up having a really, really nice call. And I had the experience where I was the kid who was acting cruddy. And we're going to talk more about that later. Just keep in mind that days are rarely all good or all bad. And when we look back on our days, what we choose to focus on within the day, whether we choose to focus on the makeup, the redeeming experience I had with my kid, or whether I choose to focus on the fight, it's all there. And it's up to me to pick what I want to focus on. Number 3, it's totally okay as a mom to want to be celebrated. Okay, we make such a huge deal about the selfless mother that it ends up being used as kind of a tool to justify not celebrating mothers, right? If we're a real selfless mother, which is what they're suggesting, so many people are suggesting, then we wouldn't need to be celebrated. And there were a lot of snarky Facebook comments that kind of alluded to things like that. I don't want anything. I'm just so happy my family is healthy and happy. Greatest gift ever! Exclamation points. Which seems to say that you're greedy if you want your family to celebrate you, which you are not. And there was another one that was it's okay to be sad. But with everything going on in the world today, our kids need us to be good role models. And that post seemed to shame moms and to say that your pain doesn't count because someone else's pain somewhere matters more. That idea that it's never our turn to put our needs first, I just want to call BS on that. There's no problem. Your needs are your needs. And The third sort of Facebook comment that went in this category is that Mother's Day is a made-up holiday, or they call it like a Hallmark holiday. And spoiler alert, all holidays are made up. Literally all of them. There is no objective, important holidays list that decrees which holidays matter and which ones don't. It's all subjective, and you get to choose for yourself if Mother's Day is a thing or not. Thought 4. If you enjoy being celebrated, and I do, I suggest you make it clear to your family how you like it. And what I'm thinking of specifically here is love languages. And love languages are that idea that we each have certain ways that we prefer to express and receive love. This work was done by Gary Chapman, and I'll put a link to his book or his website in the show notes. But just big picture, they're words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So putting those in kind of like Mother's Day terms, words of affirmation would be calls and texts from your kids saying, I love you, and you did such a good job, and I appreciate everything that you do for me. Acts of service would be like, I'm not a huge gardener, but I do like having flowers in my yard. And so for a lot of years, acts of service was my go-to. I wanted to buy flowers on Mother's Day and have everyone put them in for me. Acts of service was the way to go. And quality time, now that my kids are older, quality time for me is more of a big deal because I don't get to see them as much. So using that gardening example, quality time would be me gardening with my child. I still don't like gardening, so we cooked instead, but that's the idea behind it. Gifts, that's pretty straightforward. And physical touch would be like if you wanted to like snuggle on the couch and watch a movie, or, getting a hug. Those are examples of physical touch. And I don't want you to worry about remembering this. Like I said, I'll put a link to the love languages in the show notes. But the idea here is being clear, even just for yourself, on what your idea of a good time is key if you want to be happy. Thought 5 is if you don't get your love languages met, but they did make an effort, consider if they are giving to you from their love language rather than yours. Okay, your kids may be just giving to you the way that they prefer to give and receive love, and that's genuine. And if that's what's happening, you can appreciate that they're trying to love you. That's like the golden rule, right? They're trying to love you in the way that they want to be loved. And you can appreciate that and get the feeling of being appreciated. And sort of the big picture of that is it's worth assuming good intent and looking for ways to be happy, looking for the things that they did do. Again, that goes back to our focusing on the things that they did do rather than the things that they didn't. And that leads us right into number 6, which is to remember that you're in charge of how you feel on Mother's Day. And a piece of that is taking responsibility for looking for ways to be happy. But the other side of that is if you're sad on Mother's Day, that's okay. Like Mother's Day, you don't have to be happy and full of joy on Mother's Day. I saw like a bunch of deeply sad comments on Facebook, like that Mother's Day sucks for this one particular friend every year, and it shouldn't because she has so much to be thankful for. And then she went on to reveal some really serious, unhealed childhood trauma. And I can't help but wonder if the fact that she keeps trying to be happy when she's not is preventing her from really looking at what's standing between her and happiness and getting the help that she needs. Another kind of comments that fall into this category is someone who's feeling sad maybe because their child is really far away, but who am I to complain when others are feeling much worse? Okay. And again, that's that idea that your pain doesn't count because maybe someone else has a different kind of pain that counts more. I want to just write you a blank permission script to feel however you actually feel, not just on Mother's Day, but on all the days. The third set of comments that I heard kind of takes us into the next point, and that is comments that were like, in general, I'm happy, but I was so sad today because I kept waiting for a call or text that never came. And that leads me to the point of, I think, number 7, I think a lot of people get tripped up when we use someone else's actions to make us happy. Okay, being happy is always an inside job. And so whether you choose to be celebrated on Mother's Day or not, know that you are a great mom. Okay, don't make your great momness be dependent on your kids or your husband doing what you want them to do. Okay, what you don't want to do is have Mother's Day become like a secret test of your goodness. And if they don't appreciate you enough or in the specific way that you want to be appreciated, that means something about you as a mother. Okay, you want to build that self-confidence in your good momness so strong that no matter what happens, you can feel like a good mom. You can be happy and feel love for yourself as a mother. Okay, this is not to let your family off the hook. If you want to be celebrated, definitely use those suggestions to be really clear and specific with them about how you want to be celebrated. But even if they don't live up to what you ask them to do, don't use that as a reason to feel bad either about them or about yourself. And that leads me into my last thought, number 8, which is build a strong enough relationship with your kids and your own mom that this one day is just a day. And unfortunately, I have a personal example here, which is that on Mother's Day, I called my mom early, like in the morning, because I was setting up a call between her and my son. My son wanted to call her for Mother's Day, and he's in the Netherlands, and there's a pretty significant time change between, where he is in the Netherlands and where she is in the Midwest. And they use, an internet, they call over Messenger. And my mom, it works perfectly, but my mom needs a heads up that he's going to be calling so that she goes and gets her iPad and she has everything and she's ready. And so when I talked to her, I was like, hey, I'm going to call you later, but Jason's going to call you right now. And so hang on, go get your iPad, I'll wait, and let's find Messenger so that you're ready when he calls. And I did that just a couple of minutes before his call so that she could have everything all set up. And then I said I would call her later. And my plan was to, kind of spread the calls out throughout the day because I knew the grandkids would be calling all day. And so I was going to call her after dinner. And after dinner, my daughter and I were doing a puzzle and we were watching some shows on Netflix. And Netflix does that thing where it goes right into the next episode. And the time got away from me. And so 8:00 my mom's time, I get a call from her and she's like, hey, I haven't heard from you and I want to go to bed. I love this so much. So she's like, celebrate me, let's go. And I love this story so much because my mom knows that I adore her. And so when she didn't hear from me, she didn't make it mean anything. She just went ahead and got exactly what she needed. She called me. And in that call, we even talked about how my Mother's Day present didn't get to her in time, which is such a bummer because we sent out, my daughter and I made these cookie packages for lots of mothers in our lives, and we put them all in the mail. And it looks like about 2/3 of them got to where they were supposed to go on time, but her package was in the section that didn't make it there on time. But because happiness is an inside job and she wanted to be happy, she just called me and gave me a chance to shower love on her time schedule. And so we both got to end the day feeling love for each other instead of feeling regret, that I didn't call her early enough or her feeling annoyed because I called her and woke her up. What I want you to know is that you are a good mom And I want you to be lined up with creating something good for yourself, whether you're giving yourself love and appreciation or whether you're helping your kids love and appreciate you in a way that feels good to you. I'm always down to feel more love for all the amazing people in my life. And that's available to all of us, especially on Mother's Day, but honestly, especially on every day. Have a great week, everyone.